Right, welcome to Stereo Psych. This is going to be episode, I think, 4. Pretty sure. I'll find out when I go to upload it. I'm Stephen Downing. I'm a clinical psychologist from Australia. Just been going through, kind of having some fun, breaking down some of the situations I know I'm the asshole. So set up for today. It's a public holiday in Australia, so I've got some time to do this one. And yeah, we're going to go through. It looks like this one here. Oh, it's an update. Update girlfriend edition. That sort of looks interesting. I won't lie. Finding a new wife. Okay, looks like that's the one that we're actually going to be doing today. So, as usual, breakdown, run through the situation, just sort of what stands out to me, what I find interesting about it. I don't do updates at the moment, even though that is quite interesting. But all right. Let's go with this one here. So, as always, feel free to submit stuff in the comments if you're interested in me reviewing bits and pieces. I'm open to that. Otherwise, I'll just be, going through Reddit and sort of having fun with this. I think it's interesting. This one's not too long, so that's quite interesting. I'll have to drag this over a little bit just so I can see what's in there. Beauty. All right, so let's start off with reading it and then we'll break it down from there. Am I the asshole for finding a new wife after my wife gave me ultimatum to open our relationship, which was not an actual ultimatum? My wife became obsessed with open relationships, and when I refused to engage about it, she gave me an ultimatum to open our relationship or we'll get divorced. I told her to file for divorce, but I cooled down a bit afterwards. I decided the divorce is not right for me. I'd gained a bit of weight and haven't dated in over a decade. I didn't even know where to fucking start. I didn't think I could have handled dating and divorce at the same time. So I agreed to an open marriage. It's been 2 years since then, and I've worked on myself and prepared myself for divorce. I've been dating a woman for 1 year now, and I think she'll be a good wife and good company for the kids. We've decided to get married. I finally told my wife that I want to marry my girlfriend and that I'll be filing for divorce. My wife is not happy about it. At first, she said that we were already open, so there's no need to leave. I explained to her that I don't want an open marriage. I just want a simple life, and my girlfriend can give it to me. She then asked why I agreed to an open relationship, and I told her that I just needed time to find a new wife before divorce. I just want to be married and live a normal life, and I thought it's better to find a woman first before divorcing. She was going to divorce me if I didn't agree, so what was I even supposed to do? She said she made that ultimatum in frustration and that she would never have divorced me if I refused. What am I even supposed to do with this information now? It's over. I think it's the right decision for me to divorce and marry my girlfriend. Every now and again I get up on particular soapboxes, and I might have already been on this soapbox on this series of short episodes, but essentially, when it comes to multi-party relationships, they are very, very difficult to get right. It's rough. It is very, very difficult to try to long-term control the human emotional complexities that come with open relationships. And unfortunately, it's so difficult. We talked last time about the idea of a relationship agreement, right? Where what I would like for people is that they're very clear on what they want. And essentially, this starts off fairly well, where essentially the wife becomes obsessed with this relationship idea, comes to her husband and says, right, I want an open relationship. That's actually pretty good communication. It's not what they agreed to at the start, but she has changed her mind, and apparently this is in line with her values, and she's gone, right, I want this change to happen. If not, we're going to divorce. Now, at this point, that's where everything starts getting a little bit murky. She doesn't mean divorce, but she says divorce. First takeaway here, don't say divorce if you don't mean divorce, because people hear you and go, right, I know what I'm dealing with. So he then obviously has a fairly emotional reaction. He says he cooled down a bit afterwards. I don't think that's just from I told her to file for divorce, but who knows? Again, don't want to read too much into this. It's an interesting way to say I cooled down. I guess there is a cool off period after a contract. Maybe he's talking about it that way. Anyway, so yeah, we've got this multi-party relationship. So 2 years go by. This is where, for me, it's like how much communication has actually happened in this 2 years as you have each sort of chased individual relationships and stuff like that. This is one of the few situations where it actually It works out for the guy to a certain degree, but I think it works out differently. So often when people talk about open relationships, the guys have this mystical idea that they're going to just have endless amounts of sex, and then they get out onto the dating table and realize they are nowhere near as attractive as what they thought they were. In this case, I think he hasn't actually used an open relationship the way that most people would talk about an open relationship. He has sort of used his current relationship without informing his wife, whilst he legitimately searches for his next life partner. By the looks of it, without telling her. Finds himself his next life partner, has a good amount of time with really no real difficulty to be like, okay, is this what I want to do? Decides, yep, I'm going to do this. And now we wind up with the problems at the end of the day. He goes to her and says, right, now I want that divorce. And it's sort of like, she's going, what divorce? Is that the one that you talked about 2 years ago? And she's like, that wasn't a real one. You know, I didn't want to divorce you. And he's like, well, what the hell? Because it certainly seemed like a real one. She's like, then why did you agree? And he's sort of going, well, because I thought divorce was on the table if I didn't. Like, my hands felt like they were tied here. Essentially, now she's going, what's going on? And he's like, I think it's time for me to divorce and marry my girlfriend. Okay. So that's the situation as we see it here. Question number one. Is he an asshole? Absolutely. Is she an asshole? Absolutely. Don't make ultimatums if you don't mean it. Don't do it. I mean, to be honest, don't make ultimatums at all. I'm not a fan of them, but an ultimatum should be, you have done all of the communicating. This is it. It truly is. Do this, or I do that. Not a fan of them. I think that you should avoid them if at all possible, but I believe there is a time and a place for an ultimatum, and she has not done it correctly. You don't threaten divorce if you don't mean it. So, yeah, in this situation, is she an asshole? Yeah, she's an asshole. Is he an asshole? Yes. He has effectively used the relationship whilst being exited from the date that that's happened. We see that he doesn't hide any of that. You know, I appreciate his honesty in this, but at the end of the day, we have somebody who has really used a relationship, which, by the looks of it, there's no real communication happening about that. She doesn't know that he's essentially hunting for his next monogamous wife, not agreed to an open relationship, which essentially makes him an asshole too. You shouldn't be in this situation. You know, like, there is a complete lack of communication going on here. I actually think, if anything, if I had to give a gold star to somebody, the wife seems to be a bit better at communicating than the husband in terms of bringing things to the relationship and having a chat about it. He quietly plans in the background and then exits. So I look at this and I go, nope, it's got all the problems of open relationships. Rather than we sit down, we work out what's going on, we work out, why do you want an open relationship? You know, because that question doesn't get asked anywhere near as much as it should. And he doesn't go there. He accepts the ultimatum, and off he goes. And it's sort of like, well, you didn't want the divorce. She didn't want the divorce. But because you guys just chose to take what is essentially an easy way out, instead of communicate, 2 years later, we wind up in this hellish situation. Yeah, that's what happens. I keep telling people, like, you know, at the end of the day, any two people can work if they commit to communication. Essentially, it's that simple when it comes to relationships, but you have to communicate, like, a lot. So we get to his ending. It's over. I think the right decision for me is to divorce and marry my girlfriend. Mate, that's what you've been planning towards for 2 years. I don't see how you're turning that particular boat around at this point. You mentally exited 2 years ago. It would be very odd in your situation to turn around and decide, oh, the relationship's back on. How about that? So, yeah, I'm not sure. In terms of what do I not know at this point that I would want to know about this situation? I want to know what the heck they do that they consider to be communication. How do you go 2 years in this circumstance and you don't know? We have no idea where she's at. You know, she could have, like, what we don't know about this situation is she could have had this like thing, open relationship, which has calmed down, and she's gone, actually, this isn't right for me, and been monogamous and faithful to him for the last year and a half, and he's just gone, nope. Right? I don't know that. So I would want to know, is this still a thing for her? She's still keen to do this open relationship thing, or was that like something she tried and got over, and actually you're leaving your faithful monogamous wife that you've essentially led on for however long that period is? We don't know. So that would change a lot about that situation for me here. You know, outside of that, at the end of the day, this stuff boils down to values. If you don't have values against what you're doing, then why do you need the internet to validate your decision? If you think it's right for you, go do it. Look, I don't understand the validation of strangers on the internet and why that's necessary in this particular case. I understand some situations can be truly tricky. This one, you know, you let her on. Yeah. So I don't know how much more there is to take out of the situation. There's not a lot of detail there, but the situation as I see it, it's pretty flippin' messy. And there's a complete lack of communication. There's periods spanning years over which I would have assumed that conversations were happening that clearly have not. And after he gets an out of the blue threat of divorce, he then turns around and basically delivers one after she's gone, hang on, haven't we sorted this out? This is why since learning about them, I'm a pretty big believer in relationship agreements. And if you want to have any sort of a multi-party relationship, to be honest, which is more than one, frankly. So if you're going to have a relationship with more than just yourself, you need to have a set of rules written down about what belongs inside that relationship, what does not belong in that relationship. And then you need to stick to that and advise the other person if it's no longer the relationship you want to be a part of. She does that here. As far as I can tell, he does not. And that's pretty poor form to lead somebody on to this degree. Anyway, that's just a take. I'm sure other people will have different opinions. So let's see how we go. But that's all we've got for today. So yeah, I shall hand that over, and you guys can slaughter me in the comments. All right, take care, guys. We shall do it. Obviously, like if you like it, subscribe if you want to see more like this in the future. All right, I shall catch you another time. So.